What's good? What's good this morning? Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Trey, and this is First Formation Morning Sports Talk, presented by, of course, E2G Sports Network. So come on and fall in with us this morning as we get to bring you all what's going on in sports, the latest things going on in sports, and make it happen. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. I'm sorry, hold up. I gotta correct something. Um, 1 second, please. One second, please. Okay, I'm sorry about that. But so yes, y'all know what it is. It's your boy Trey. Y'all know me. Uh, got a couple of things to talk about here and there. As we know, we're about 19 days, getting closer and closer to the start of the NBA season. Pretty excited for that. Of course, that brings on the conversation talk when it comes to the military basketball community. Of course, I'm here for that, being a former service member myself into sports. So, of course, that's some stuff to talk about to get into. Coming in this coming as their season for or the time frame is about to kick off a bunch of different tournaments that's scheduled and ready to go on. So that's a whole vibe coming up for those that follow military basketball. Uh, Football season, as we know, was waited on. I don't know. I guess why the jury's still out for me is if I am or I am not disappointed in the season so far. I guess I won't say it is because there's competition going on. I guess you could say there's not a clear, concise, dominant organization or team at this point, in my opinion. Um, which we get to. I don't want to get too far into it, but plenty definitely going on as we get into it this morning. So let me pull it up and see what topics I have for y'all to start off. Real simple, two parts conversation, NBA conversation, NFL conversation, and we'll see what that ends up sparking. Excuse me. Why you all in my head? We see round we go. Today being Wednesday, it's hump day, as my cohort Bishop would say. This Wednesday came kind of quick. Excuse me, my lips feel a little dry. This Wednesday came kind of quick, in my opinion. Matter of fact, I know there's something I'm gonna have to go do in a few minutes. But yeah, this Wednesday came kind of quick, but yet it's here. That means tomorrow, Thursday night football, uh, weekend eve, as we would call it. The weekend's here already, back in full effect. Interesting. So, as I was saying, going into the NBA conversation, let's start there. Um, of course, with that in the NBA conversation, it's interesting. Some things that are going on in the Phoenix Suns organization, as we all know. Um, they have the situation with Robert Sarver, who is their majority owner, in which Mr. Sarver basically was banned for a year due to misogynistic or racial epithets and slurs and conversations and just workplace violations from a standpoint to where he was fined and suspended. Players and certain people, other people in a certain organization start calling for his head, basically stating that it is not enough for him just to be fined a year. He should be removed from the organ from the league, in which Robert Sarver has come to realize that he thinks everything in which he's put forth has gone in vain, and he wants to just basically disengage because he believes in the league from his standpoint. And now he's basically going to look for someone to buy the team. So I'm very sure that's very tumultuous for the most part when you come to and you're discussing and talking about the NBA um, or the organization, correction, the Phoenix organization. But now to add, in my opinion, to add a little spice to the organization that we know as the Phoenix Suns, now center DeAndre Ayton came through, uh, was um, spoke with yesterday, and he alluded to and let it be known and understood that he has not spoken to his head coach, Monty Williams, since Game 7 of the NBA playoffs last year, which is interesting for the most part. As you know, if you didn't know already, DeAndre Ayton was benched by Coach Monty Williams in the Game 7, playing only 17 minutes, which is not expected for a player in his caliber of what they believe that he brings to the team. But 17 minutes, he was benched with this, only playing 17 minutes early in the game in which then Dallas, when they played the Dallas Mavericks, end up throttling them by a 33-point deficit. Smacked them up and down the court. 33 points before Dallas went on to play the Golden State Warriors in the best of seven series in the Western Conference Finals. Um, but yeah, so he was benched, of course. Had a problem with that, I'm sure. He was a restricted free agent this year, so he did go and sign a $133 million offer sheet with the Indiana Pacers, in which Phoenix matched and kept them in house. Um, they had a team dinner Monday in which Coach Monty Williams basically stated that everything has been put to rest. He doesn't have any problems, and he believed that DeAndre Ayton could put to rest as well. In which DeAndre Ayton kind of has a different mindset going in. I guess he's basically saying that when he steps between the lines, it's all about business. So I don't know. What it was in which caused the benching. Even now, after the fact, DeAndre Ayton said it was an internal issue. Uh, but now it's like, was it that much of an issue to where you don't talk to your coach for this time frame? Monty Williams kind of, I think, in my opinion, tried to make I ain't gonna say excuse, but try to basically quell the situation, stating that he's seen Aiden working out prior to the beginning of the camp. He saw him working out as well as other players, but he decided that he wanted them to get into their own kind of zone and they didn't want to bother them. So he didn't engage them in any way. Um, and then they spoken. I mean, they of course all the players spoke as a team Monday as they started practice on Tuesday, and then additionally he said that sometime throughout the season he will engage every player one on one, but that's in due time. So those that are out there, what do you think about the situation where if you are a player or a coach or even let's say a parent, a NCO, a leader, officer, and you don't speak to someone that is even one of your supporters that you have the ability to have an influence on, and y'all don't speak per a situation that happened, let's say roughly about what 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Um, do you see that as being problematic? I'd like to know if you're in the comments. Just go ahead and tap in. Um, I'm interested to know. I definitely would see it as a little bit problematic, although I could see having that not really caring or not really not I ain't gonna say caring, not letting it affect you to some degree, even though it does. I'm sure it does affect the individual, especially when you're supposed to be engaging with one another, talking to one another, the rapport in which you built. Saying honestly, I would just at minimum like to know, does this affect us as a unit, as a group, me and you? that me and that particular individual, um, just to know where I stand. Like I know, okay, I can't sit up and approach you a certain type of way, and that basically puts me in perspective. The perspective, okay, if I speak to this individual, I need to speak to him this way. I need to engage him this way. What's good? What's going on, Freddie? Good morning, sir. Glad to see you in the formation this morning, brother. Um, but yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Like I clearly would think that could become problematic at some point. Um, you kind of want to know where people's at, and that would be my main focus on is understanding and know where DeAndre's at when it comes to me and DeAndre Aiden and as being the coach. So that I guess that's more to see as the season gets ready to start. We'll probably see that more conversation and have an understanding of okay, this is what they're doing, this is how they're interacting or not. Or it could just be, what I'm saying, one of those things where one on one they need to clear the air. It's one thing to sit up and talk to the players in the open forum unless they address one another in an open forum. But I think it's definitely something for them to get into uh, amongst each other, in which it seems to be a lot of that going around, especially when it comes in reference to the NBA. Um, the other conversations, other news. Uh, Actually, there's more similar conversation than that, but I want to touch on a couple of other things first before going to that. I just don't want to bombard y'all with, what I'm saying, potential tumultuous situations in organizations. But what is seemingly also a tumultuous situation going on, the Chicago Bulls guard Lonzo Ball is scheduled to have yet another knee surgery, which will be his second surgery since January of this year, and third surgery overall, as he had a surgery back in 2018 for his knees when playing with the Los Angeles Lakers. But basically, Lonzo Ball has basically stated that he has pain still, even though he had surgery not too long ago, as he was injured in January and was out the majority of the season. But he has pain when it jumps, running or jumping causes him pain. Of course, they've done tests, MRIs, and yet they say they cannot still see what potentially could be causing him any pain or discomfort after the surgery. Even additionally, he said he has problems with just regular activities and functions, like I guess you could say walking, climbing stairs, gives him pain and discomfort. Which, of course, not just as a athlete, but as a individual and a person, that could be very um uncomfortable. He said of course, they say he's expected to have surgery. He's currently in Los Angeles. He's going to expected to have surgery in Los Angeles, and then recover there for about 2 or 3 weeks. And then expectation is he's going to go back to Chicago so that he can rehab and be around his teammates as the season gets ready to kick off. Um, at this point, doctors do not know or get what is causing these issues or problems. So the ideal is that they're going to, of course, open up for surgery, see if they can find out what the issue is, and then fix the issue. I think that's I would say that, I mean, I'm no surgeon or anything like that. I would think that is a little backwards, maybe, to the point of where you don't know what the issue is, but you're just going in to see if you can find the issue and then fix the issue. In which, if you don't know what the issue is, obviously, how do you know what it is you're going to do to fix it? I'm presuming that they have the capabilities to do so, but I would be a little leery of doing such a thing, based on the fact that you just don't know. Um, but of course, I'm very sure he has the best doctors that are out there, especially being in California. So they're going to be able to do that and take care of that situation as soon as they know it. So potentially, we're looking at a situation to where Alonzo Ball could be out the whole season, maybe. Um, Being that he was out the majority of the season last year, now you're looking at coming back and he's going to be out a majority of the season, possibly the whole season. This year, after you just take into consideration, he only played 3 months for last season before he went through his injury. And here it is. We're getting ready to start at the beginning of the injury. I mean, the season, the beginning of the season again, the following year, and he's still having issues. But of course, we wish him well in the surgery. I think he's going to have the surgery tomorrow. Um, a speedy recovery. Lonzo will get back on the court. Uh, and transactions, NBA transactions. OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder, have received forwards Maurice Harkless and Vit Keschi from the Atlanta Falcons for a 2029 second round pick and other draft consideration. Both players have average career averages of about 6 points apiece. Of course, Mo Harkless has been in the league longer, as he ended, I think, 10 years, 10-year veteran, as he came in the league in 2012. And Vitt came in the league last year, second round draft pick, in which he's only played 30 games. But of course, if you think about it, they're trying to find um, formidable replacements or something that to double up to replace the what they have in because of course they lose Chet Holmgren, in which Ball Harkless is going to fall into that $4.6 million section for Chet Holmgren being out. So he fits into, from a financial standpoint, he fits into their plans, and maybe offensively he'll be able to do something. You could expect that most likely one or both are going to be rotational players that might see a minimum time in the relief of certain people. So, but more to come. Of course, ideally, the best thing would be for them to be able to contribute immensely in the absence of Chet Holmgren, and basically be a situation where they get more bang for their buck. But it remains to be seen. Of course, one of the hardest things is the rotation, finding a good rotations for your players, and that are synced in together. So a couple of things, other things when it comes to NBA, Brooklyn, Brooklyn stand up. We know that's a couple of people's favorite player. Brooklyn uh, head coach Steve Nash has gone on record and reiterated that him and his star Kevin Durant, forward for the Brooklyn Nets, are going into the season with the air cleared. As I said, we had something else to talk about in reference to when we talk about the situation between a coach and a player. Um, but both of them are going in, from what Steve Nash says, is he's going in with all the air cleared. There's no issue um, in their locker room. He stated that he's known Kevin Durant for a long time, and that he's not concerned with um, any he's not concerned with anything in which the situation. Of course, we know Kevin Durant at the end of the season stated that he wanted to be traded, and also stated that he wanted even Steve Nash or Sean Marks, or both of them fired. Steve Nash being the head coach, Sean Marks being the general manager. He wanted them gone. So I'm very sure that's a hard pill to swallow. Luckily, fortunately for Nash, that his owner um, Tasai was on his side, and he stated that that he's going to side with the coaches and the general manager, and that he's not going to fire them. He doesn't see a reason to fire them at this point, um, and that they have to work it out. So, a quote from Steve Nash is that we're fine after we're good ever since we've talked. It's been a like nothing change. I have a long history with Kevin Durant. I've loved the guy. Your families have issues, and we had a moment and it's behind us. That's what happens. It's a common situation in the league. He goes further. Saying continued quote is, "We all are hurting, seething to go through what we went through last year, not being able to overcome all that adversity. Sometimes you have a perspective because of your expectations to win, but then really we were able to talk and discuss what we can improve from last year, and always keep perspectives. We want to. We went through a lot of stuff." Unquote for Steve Nash. So my thing is, how do you come back from that? You have a player from a player's aspect. I want to look at both aspects and both perspectives. From a player's aspect perspective, how do you? I guess it's different for Kevin Durant because he's Kevin Durant. He's one of the top players. Even just of recently, when we looked at the ESPN top 100 players in the NBA, Kevin was 8 of 100. So saying with that, you really don't have to worry about a coach kind of like diminishing your play time or doing anything that was unexpected to you or that could be detrimental to you in your career. So in that sense, saying it doesn't count for Kevin Durant. But however, as a if you're just a regular player, like how do you come back from that if it was something that was said and taken out of context, or was said that you didn't care too much for your coach and all these type of things? Like, are you gonna have to deal with that for the most part? Or even from the aspect of which is more conducive to that of Steve Nash as a coach and your top player, maybe top two players, when you take into consideration the Kyrie Irving situation, and supposedly alleged the give Kobe back his MVPs you stole from him, that type of stuff is like, this is an admiration that your players have for you. Like, that's got to be a tough situation. That's already, in my opinion, a hostile work environment, and you're supposed to be the one that's leading and pushing these guys, and to have one to blatantly disrespect you in conversation, and then you have another that basically calls for your job, your livelihood. How do you come back from that? Like, how do you sit up and come back and win the locker room and put forth the best? I mean, you can put forth the best effort, but how it takes a lot. I'm very sure that's a whole lot of that has to be accomplished in order to make that happen. And I just wonder if how is all that going to get accomplished. I mean, I don't have to worry about that type of stuff. What's good, Commissioner Myers? Good morning, sir. Guys, see the information. How's everything going out there in Colorado? Getting ready for the I'm very sorry start the season. Oh yes, I agree, Coach Commissioner Myers. I'm very sure it's easy to come back from. I mean, I'm very sure it's possible, but I guess, is it possible in the same in the same in the same space? Like, is this a situation to where maybe Steve Nash, if the organization doesn't work out, because I would think that the Omer Tsai, he now has been spoken to with Kevin Durant. They said they all have a conversation, they all had a meeting, and now what comes up is, does he get put in a position to where now he's paying attention to what's going on with his team, and if his team is not being successful or is not doing, I'm very sure there's expectations, especially as the owner, there's expectations, and he starts to wonder like what's really going on, or you start to have a situation to where Steve Nash may lose his locker room uh, as the season gets. We all know what happens with losing. Like, I sat and watched the team last night with the with intramural football. I watched a team that basically fell apart when they lost one game. Their first game of the season, they lost and fell apart. Bickering, arguing, talking about people getting beat, quarterback not seeing people, all this type of stuff. A player, I even heard a player is like, I'm not, saying I don't care about this because they got beat on the play. Like, that's like losing does things to teams that aren't well gel together, it does things. So okay, it's the win. Got it. So like I said, if you're not winning, then that becomes it becomes a different animal. Winning takes sacrifices, and that's egos, personalities, time, all that type of stuff. But when you're not winning, it puts a strain on things. And so I wonder, yeah, so I could assume that maybe not winning will start to put a strain on that organization. And then of course, um, the owner, GM, all those powers that be will start to wonder, like, is this the right person for the job? Or I wonder, does it start to seep in what the player was saying when it came to is like, okay, start paying attention. So it's interesting. I think it's going to be a whole dynamic that hasn't been that's currently not exposed um, in Philadelphia, to where it's just going to be one of those situations where it's out there, and we're going to see what happens in state, in which you can't remind. What's good, Eric? What's going on, brother? How you doing this morning? Glad to have your information as well. So it's going to be one of those situations where it's going to come out, and hopefully it's not as bad, because I don't think Brooklyn can go through two horrible seasons. Like, they just went through the whole situation, the debacle with James getting traded mid-season for Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons coming over and not playing a single game when they probably needed him. But now they said Ben is back. They said he's in camp. He's looking good. Seemingly any mental issues have been put to rest, and he's ready to go. Even potentially Ben Simmons running the point, as I seen on ESPN. They had a depth chart outlook in which they had Ben Simmons at the point, Kyrie Irving at the two, uh, Joe Harris at the three, KD at the four, and um, Nick Claxton at the five. And then I think the six man was Seth Curry. Of course, you still have people like Patty Mills and a couple of others. So it's it was interesting, because we see that in which we thought initially that in which we had seen a different model, in which they had Ben Simmons at the three. I mean, correction, at the four, potentially, and Seth was the two, and so but yeah, so now it's going to be interesting to see um what goes on in Brooklyn. I guess, they're being watched. Um, Boston's being watched after their situation, where now their coach is not going to be at the helm, and Coach Mazzulla is going to be pushing them. As always, the Lakers are going to be watched just because they're the Lakers. Um, Golden State's going to be watched because they're going to see how they can do, if they can become the two-time defending champion. Uh, of course, the teams that just these blockbuster trades, um, with the blockbuster trades, Minnesota's going to be watched to see if it was worth them giving up what they gave up to bring Rudy Gobert into the fray. Additionally, Utah with with all the trades and pushing away three of their top, Bogdanovich, Mitchell, as well as Gobert. Mitchell now in Cleveland, they're going to be watched. Atlanta's going to be watched. Like, yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. I'm here for it. We're here for it. Of course, we'll be here to talk about it. Coach says, Commissioner Meyer says, um, Steve Nash, Hall of Fame player. He can say what he wants. It's a true. It is. It is. Is it true about Kobe deserving the MVP? Yes, but show your maturity when you say that out loud. Is it? Did Kobe deserve those? Was this Kobe's? Maybe so. I'm just asking the question now. As y'all know, if y'all been watching, I have my whole mindset when it comes to my beloved Lakers has taken a little bit of a turn here and there, in which I wonder certain things. LeBron, I have a different outlook on at LeBron now. You know what? Even yesterday, I think I'm gonna have on the show tomorrow. Um, this guy Gene Williams, I started with him while I was in Fort Hood. He brought up an interesting fact, and Commissioner Myers, being a Lakers fan, please feel free to chime in. He brought up an interesting fact, right? So he said he believes that, and I'm paraphrasing, that Patrick Beverly is probably going to be a good thing for the Lakers. He thinks Patrick Beverly is a good pickup for the Lakers. Why? Basically, he feels that Patrick Beverly. Well, no. One thing, when I asked for an elaboration, let me pull it up real quick so I could get this actual quote. In which I was like, I could get down with what he was saying. I could see it to a degree. Let me see. Will. Basically said it comes with its attitude. LeBron, Westbrook, and AD all have gone Hollywood. Seemed like they lost their grit. Patrick Beverly not starstruck by them, and he doesn't care. He is a player that always other players hate playing because he's an unorthodox and wild, and he'll be the dude that's on the team who doesn't care, the superstar, and he's going to play in different practices, going to call you out, and saying zero excuses. So basically, saying that Patrick Beverly brings a type of attitude, and I guess you could say moxie, to the organization, to the team, to where he's going to go at you. He doesn't care about your stardom, who you are, and all that type of stuff. He's going to get at you. He's going to sit up and call you out, and going to and going to challenge you. In which it sounds like he's saying that LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook need to be challenged. So I wonder, does everyone that's currently watching in different aspects, do we agree? Like, that is needed. Not even just an aspect of the Lakers, because I'm not. This is not going to be a drag the Lakers session. But I just want to know, from a standpoint of any organization, do all organizations need that type of player on their roster? And is it really actually beneficial to have that type? Or do you see a situation where that can be not as beneficial, because if you have a player that has basically been coined that, and guess that stigma, to where that can be done at the moments in which it doesn't mean, where it can start to become toxic for the locker room. In the case of the Laker, I agree with what Gene was talking about, what Will was talking about. Like, you need that type of person, and as long as those ads, Westbrooks, and LeBrons are willing to listen, or can take some of that, glean some of that from there, and hear what's being said and go about it. Of course, not Westbrook. Beverly is somewhat of a lesser uh, player when it comes to the four of those names which you talk about, where you put them all in, but that doesn't mean that he can't be heard. So I'm ready to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I'm not going to sit up and think, 82-0 season with the Los Angeles Lakers, but I'm looking forward to be able to get back in uh, at minimum to the playoffs and see what type of noise we can make. Okay, Eric, every player should hold each other accountable. But what does that look like, Eric? Like, I agree with you, but what does that look like? What does that look like from your standpoint, or from your opinion, when it comes to holding each other accountable? And when you hold one another accountable, and sometimes it has to be those uncomfortable conversations, I'm sure. So when you're having an uncomfortable conversation, is it cool to react in a certain way if you're able to get back to have an understanding of one another? Like, what is holding accountable, or what's your definition of holding accountable, of anyone? That's an answer to any a question to anybody. What is the definition of holding accountable? Because I would see it as, sometimes you got to say those things in which people don't want to hear, and then at the times in which you say the things that people don't want to hear, you're leaving yourself open and susceptible for people to say things that you may not want to hear as well. Or you get some people that are becoming their feelings, and opposed to being constructive, they tend to say things that could be destructive, for the simple matter of what they're saying, how they're saying it, and how's it come across. So, what is holding accountable? Like, is there a possibility, and this becomes a life situation in general, like, is there a possibility for things to be said to where this is from a team aspect? What about if you're in a certain community with someone, and it's not a team thing, but it could be a team thing, but like things are said that are counterproductive to what you believe can be beneficial to you or constructive, and you look at it as, saying like people are throwing shade, people are preying on your downfall, and things of that nature. Like, how does all that come to one to where that accountability aspect is being taken in as opposed to being repelled because you feel it as someone's being trying to be disrespectful, or they're trying to shade you and all that type of stuff, trolling you, like that matter. It's like and it goes in a whole bunch of different ways. But I would just wonder, like, how is that? If a coach, what's going on, Cornelius? If a coach can't do it, what difference will a player make? I'll come back to that in a second. Cornelius, I think I could connect that to something. Uh, no matter what position or how big you of a star you are on that court, you are professionals. True point, facts. Uh, when you do wrong, anyone should be able to correct you without the negative response. Uh, uh, so I agree, Eric, and that comes in. I think it's in a moment in which the problem will be an issue. Like in the moment, you're probably not trying to hear that. Players probably aren't trying to hear that. Think about when you're saying if you was doing something. I was just having a conversation last night, and what was the show I was looking at? Oh, I was looking at The Resident. And in this particular moment, a doctor was doing an operation. He's the SME on this operation, and with this operation, it's only a few physicians in which can perform this. And at that particular time, he's doing what he's got to do. There's a bunch of doctors are sitting around watching. There's a bunch of doctors in the room. There's a lot of emotion going around because the person that is being operated on is a is a uh, is a close friend to a lot of them. And in that moment, he's doing his thing, and you got so much chatter going on the side. People trying to tell him like, "Hey, this is going on. This is going on." And in my mind, I was like, in those moments, I'd be like, "Yo, chill for a second. Like, let me operate." And so that could be sometimes the same thing that happens when you're getting that constructive criticism, which you're talking about, Eric, where you like, but so I think is also a time and a place for it, and you just have to pick those moments. And I would wonder if that's going to be what the case is. Like he's just saying, Patrick Beverly, is he going to be able to, because the stigma is that he's that person? Is he going to be able to know when and where to enact that type of the type of leadership, or is it just going to be he's going to be reckless with it at any time, all time, and basically, I'm saying, have be free of care of how people foresee it or how they receive it, and going from there, because you can expect the negative response at times. You might get someone's positive response. Uh, the real ones will sit up and recognize what's being said and be like, okay, saying, or saying, and maybe come back and re-engage and be like, hey, I completely with you on this, but saying, that's not the time. And so I think it's just going to be. I hope it comes out during the spring practice, spring training, or this training. I'm sorry, not spring. The trainings, so that way they can kind of start to get into it. It's like, okay, and feel and get a flow. Because of course, when they get on the court in a couple of weeks, it's going to start to get a little late. 1 second, hold on. So yeah, so that's basically what I look at. I hope it gets all together. I like I said, I want to see my team do better than they did last year. No one wants to see an underachieving squad, especially when you cheer for those squads or are part of that squad or anything in that manner. Um, you know what? That's a good point, Eric. The definitely of respect. You know, what I'm saying have to have that bond uh, to be able to engage with one another for the most part and be able to feel like they can talk to an individual in a certain way or whatever case like that. Um, and listen, all the part are all a part of leadership. In state is it's all a part of leadership. You got to have those certain qualities to be able to be a leader, to sit up and know what's the term, know when to fold them, know when to hold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. Uh, so that's just another aspect in which you got to have um, when engaging in those type of things. What's good, Anthony? Good morning, brother. Glad to see you in formation, sir. Um, so yeah, so I agree with this response tenfold, Eric. That is such a true statement. Um, so yeah, so as far as the Lakers, Brooklyn, um, whatever teams you have, Phoenix, um, Boston, um, those teams that have, saying a couple of things that have been tumultuous. I think Utah to a degree. You think so, Snook? That is not the case. That is not the case. When have you seen a problem when LeBron has been challenged and they have gotten rid of a player? What history lesson is that? I'm trying to recall. I should have recalled before I said it, but when has that happened? I'm trying to think. Who was a victim of that? They challenged LeBron and they got sent packing. The only one I could think of potentially may be Russell. I'm not saying that he challenged LeBron, but per the comments I read yesterday, it's looking like the Russ might be up out of there uh, at some point. But yes, Cornelius, if you can, CC, please uh, inform me. What was the like? What lesson? What life lesson? Who learned that lesson? Okay, that I, I'm thinking player CC. So yes, true enough. Coaches, yes. Uh, so I don't think that Anthony. I don't think that Frank Vogel was a LeBron situation. I just think it was a situation to where um, there wasn't any after they won the championship. Frank Vogel did win the championship. He did bring number 17 to the Lakers. There wasn't any growth with the team after that. So I think it was just a matter of time. Anyways, when you especially when they went through and brought in future Hall of Famer in Westbrook, and now you have a situation to where you don't even make the playoffs after that. You went from squeaking into the playoffs the year after their championship, and then the year after that, in which they got gentlemen swept, and then the year after that, you get you don't even make it into the playoffs. So I think it was just uh, a quick hook by Jenny Buss, and which and now I think her hook is even swifter to where there's certain expectations of a Laker organization, and she's going to do everything in her power to make those expectations fruitions, and anyone could get it. So I think that's a different conversation, Snook. Like, yes, you would think that if a coach ain't safe, then who can be safe? Or like people say, if he talked to his if he did that to his mama, then what you think you're gonna do to everybody else? It's just different. Like, I think coaches and players have get different treatment, and that is just one of those things in which a coach and a player can't be considered on the same plateau um, in state, unless it's a coach that is undoubtedly just greatness. Like, I would say but Popovich is getting older, and although he may be considered the goat in basketball currently, um, Pop is older, and you're not going to expect him to continue on coaching too much longer. And he's going to be at some point he's going to have to step down or a case like that. And so you can't say like if he gets fired that, oh man, they fired Pop. What you think they're going to do to us? Do to me as a player if I'm playing badly? Completely different aspect. I think Pop's got the respect to where he's going to be allowed to play out even if he's 0-82. He's going to be allowed to play out his season. He might be asked to step down after that, but he's going to play out his season. Um, but if a player is doing bad, they've already built a certain rapport and certain so where it gives them some leeway, and then to come back. So I don't think you can say where it's safe to say. I don't think it's able to be said that if the coach isn't safe, the player isn't safe. Although I think it could go for the other way around. If a star player isn't safe, then what can happen to the player? But I don't think coaches are going to get taken out and going to go on come. That's a strong statement there, Eric. But I can feel where you're coming from. It's like but like it's the power is like it's a power that's given simply like a power that he has. Like, okay, like players don't have power. That's in state. I think players' power only goes so far, and I think it was clear and concise with the flex, although it was taken back. But the flex in which presumably was looked in which I'm not KD and Kyrie tried to do, in which it brung on conversations, but in state it wasn't going to happen. So the power in which players are expectantly think they have, I don't think are that they don't have as much power as they thought. But I'll leave this comment here for a second to marinate. Let me hold on 1 second. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. I had to take care of upcoming event. But yeah, so going through the comments again, Cornelius players like Kawhi, DeMar Wood have went and teamed up with LeBron and said, "Heck no." Even Paul George, the younger players have spoken. So, so, hmm. So DeMar, remember, DeMar thought he was about to become a Laker. So he wanted to go with Kawhi. Kawhi didn't want to go with LeBron, obviously, because he had the opportunity and he turned it down. Um, LeBron picked up players he want and coaches he will want who has power like that. Other than LeBron Curry, I don't think so. So I'm not going to say. So I think what it is, it's not the. So within an organization and team, LeBron may have power. That is prevalent. He within an organization or on a team, LeBron has power. From a league aspect, LeBron does not. Is what I think Eric is trying to say. So yeah, so I think that's what it is. Like yes, LeBron has certain ass powers currently, in which I think that power is dwindling, as Eric was just stating about, where it's going to be a point where LeBron is not going to have that or that type of power anymore. Uh, Ticket sales and stuff like that. He's a ticket, he's a box office for that currently, and at some point is going to become. He's not going to be, and they're going to, they're going to move on for him, which is understandable. So definitely a good conversation in which you have to where it's your. I mean, like Eric said, it's entertainment at the end state, and it comes in many different shades and forms. And of course, like you said, we got popcorn. We're here for it. So, like I said, look forward to the season, upcoming season. About 19 days away. We'll see what it do. All those teams, Mavericks, the Rockets. You know, what I'm saying, with some bunch of diaper dandies. Goodness gracious, the Rockets team is so young. I wonder what Mr. Silas, Coach Silas, is going to do there if he can make some things shake and pop because they are young. So two things I do agree with. I mean, one thing I definitely agree with Cornelius is Brooklyn drew the line on the power of the player, but I don't know if players have more power. We can make that happen, Anthony. If you want to get down with it, I'm all for it. We can definitely make that happen. I hit you up or put out a thing and see who what takers we got. But man, I don't know, Cornelius. I don't think I thought the players. I was starting to get into a point to where I was like, okay, the players have plenty of power. I don't think so anymore. I think it only has a power for. It's only a handful of players that has some type of power, and that's the ones that have selling power. And if and I think that's starting to dwindle now. Like, of course, they can sit up and dictate the market. You know, saying the market of sales to where if I don't even never see a situation. I don't see any situation in which they a situation where a Los Angeles Laker loses a lot of star power and no one's going to see Laker games. That's I don't foresee that happening. But I think that's as far as the power goes is that star power and the power to bring in people in the seats. So Cornelius, you think that's what it's going to be? You think that's what's going on? They're holding on to Uduka for that fact of the matter. If Missoula does well, they're gonna get rid of Uduka. You think that's what was going on? Interesting. I can see where you're going with that snip. I don't know if I believe it or not. Well, although I wouldn't put it past. Uh, definitely interesting. I had to keep an eye on that and look at it and look see if I could do a little more delving into that situation to see if that's what we're looking at. Um, let me see if I have any more NBA topics before I get into a little NFL talk. Um, uh, I save that. I save that. What's good, Frat? What's going on, Zach? How you doing? How's living life in Hawaii, brother? Yeah, take a look at the Rockets roster, Eric. Like right now, I think their most notable veteran is Eric Gordon. They got Kevin Porter Jr. possibly at the point, Jalen Green at the 2, the 3 Eric Gordon, uh, Jabari Smith at the 4, and Seguin at the 5. And then they got a bunch of youngsters that's sitting behind them. So the Rockets are hella young at this point. I don't know if there's anyone else in the league that could be younger, except for maybe OKC. OKC, I think, is a young squad for them. The Rockets is a young squad. Orlando, I think, is a young squad. Yeah, definitely rebuilding stages. Definitely rebuilding stages. So getting into that pigskin, um, of course, you have a little of a situation that's going on, getting ready to pop off in Miami as Cleveland and my correction, not Cleveland, Cincinnati and Miami are about to square off tomorrow, Thursday night football. uh, they're about to get off Thursday night football, in which once Tyreek Hill realized that they are playing Cincinnati, he took it as an opportunity for to shout out or call out or remind cornerback Eli Apple that he owes him. He owes him. Of course, if you remember, Eli Apple had a game TD saving, touchdown saving tackle versus Tyreek Hill before uh, halftime in the AFC Championship game, in which he stopped Kansas City from taking us what was that, a 17-0 lead or something like that, in which they were able to go ahead and come back and win and punch the ticket themselves to the Super Bowl. Of course, in state is his bros, his brothers, his brethren came to his defense and basically stated that they have his back when it comes to the defensive backs of the Cincinnati Bengals, stating and saying to Eli, we got, saying he ain't got to worry about it. If you come for one, you come for all. A safety, base the third, talked about how it may be a situation when Eli didn't give Tyreek tickets to the Super Bowl. Saying he got to let it go. So I don't know what to make of it, but I will say, just like Eric stated, 4-0. He Miami will be 4-0 most likely. I'm taking those odds. Again, he says he's an actor. He watched a little interview 10 times, so it's one of those things. Of course, Eli going to get cooked. Uh, they have a problem. They got problems in wide. They got problems at wide receiver. So Cincinnati may sit up and be biting off more than they can chew. It's all good and fun and games, and saying love when they say they're coming to the aid. But I hope it doesn't turn into one of those situations to where it's like, how you gonna sit up and say you gonna help me out, and you getting punched in your mouth too? Like, we all can't get punched in the mouth. Someone got to be able to fight. They're gonna have their hands full when it comes to that Waddle and Tariq Hill. So it remains to be seen if they're going to be able to take care of business. So it sounds like he's going to get help, but it's like You can't help everyone. Everyone can't be helped. Someone got to sit up and take these L's or get these hands in state. But I mean, Tyreek Hill was pretty. He was buttoned up a little bit last game. But again, that's Buffalo compared to Cincinnati. I don't think they have the same type of defense. Um, so we might see a situation where they just gotta let Eli handle that head up, 1-on-1, to see where that goes. Uh, do y'all think Hill backs up? Is Hill backing up that talk, or does the Cincinnati DBs win that battle? Is Hill going to be locked down? Is that 2 games in a row which Hill going to be locked up and he ain't going to have a huge game? What y'all think? Tomorrow night is going down. Cincinnati, White Tigers, Ice Tigers. We'll see what's going to go, how it's going to go. What is the outcome of that game? Uh, Even further, as we talked about yesterday, I don't know, Eric. He ain't do too well. He wasn't too his stats didn't look too hot last game. They not gonna leave Waddle 1-on-1. Now that's if they leave Waddle 1-on-1, that's probably who's gonna get cooked. I don't think they're gonna do that, Anthony. I'm very sure they're gonna have a scheme to try to hold it down. Well, of course, that scheme is probably gonna be um, zones, a lot of zones. And let Tua try to make Tua beat them other elsewhere, brackets and stuff like that. But I mean, they got a lot of whoa, really, Snook? That's how you feeling? Yeah, that's why I was basically getting ready to say, Eric. They gonna have. I'm very sure they're gonna run some schemes to keep it to make them go play elsewhere. But like I was also about to say, they got more than just. I mean, we say Waddle, we say Hill, but they got Kaseki, they got Breda, they got people coming out the backfield. Emmons, like Miami got weapons. Okay, I'll give you that. We'll see. I hope they don't lock them down. I mean, I need them points, but we'll see. So we'll see. Or both of them get loose. It get to a point to where you got to hold both of them. It's going to be problems. Then the whole team start eating. It's like, man, we can't do this. It's a whole break. But we'll see. Like I said, tomorrow we'll be able a first game. And pick and go in and pick those Thursday night football. And get ready for the weekend. Uh, do you think? And this is just a question. I'm not trying to stir no pots or anything. Do y'all think that Waddle is a better receiver player than Tyreek Hill? Is that a possibility? The rookie is better than a veteran. What do y'all think? Yay, nay? I'm just wondering. As y'all get to that question, um, unfortunate situation in New York. Wide receiver Sterling Shepard, as we stated. Okay. Oh, just fast? That sounds a little shadish. He's just fast. Wide receiver Shepard for the New York Giants. Basically out for the season with an ACL injury. Um, Unfortunate when he was just coming off the Achilles injury from last year. And even more unfortunate, he was in his last year with the Giants, in which he had already structured his deal. And now he doesn't even get a chance to play on that deal to where he can parlay into another deal, maybe somewhere else, or extension in New York. So now it's looking like, does Sterling Shepard has he shown enough over the years to warrant him an opportunity to play for someone else again? So you know what, CC? To go back to that Miami's thing, that's what I was saying. Like Eric was stating that saying teams get bracketed, teams get schemes and stuff like that. So it just happens for some teams to hold down. But 200 yards passing. But again, like I said, taking consideration that was the Buffalo's defense and not Cincinnati. Does Cincinnati have the same caliber defense as the Buffalo Bills? I don't think. I don't know. I don't think so. So we might have a situation to where there might be a lot going on tomorrow night, in which I have to watch it from my phone because I'll be at work. We got games tomorrow night. But yeah, so it's just one of those things. Like it might be a whole lot going on tomorrow night uh, for that game. But back to the New York Giants Washington wide receiver situation. Now they have turned into potentially Tony, who's currently out with a hamstring injury. Uh, Holiday, who has not produced anything since he's been there, struggling, so to speak. Um, like, where does the Giants go to now? They can't just rely on Daniels and Saquon Barkley, and Daniels to run the ball all over the yard. Like, where does the New York Giants go? Where does Coach the ball go now with this situation called Odell? I doubt Odell is coming back, but I mean, money talks. Where do they go from here? Who are they willing to pull up and bring in to try to set their ship right? Now, coming off a 2-1 start, where in other seasons they've been 0-3. Like, is this now that point, the dismal point, to where now we have to look at this is going to be uh, detrimental to the New York Giants? I got them. I got them selected to win this week. I think I'm going with the Giants this week to pull out a dub to get a W. So Anthony? What do you mean they don't know how to use their wide receivers? Is it they don't know how to use their wide receivers? Is it that they don't get enough time? That Jones doesn't get enough time to get to his receivers? Like, is that an offensive line situation? Is it a Daniel Jones situation, or is it a coaching situation? Which one do you think, Anthony? Since you saying that they don't know how to use them. Excuse me. Goodness, long days. So yes, I just wonder that definitely having the issues or some concerns now. Like what, like honestly, what they're gonna do, how they gonna make it through. Of course, in other conversation, other action, as Anthony answer that, or we just continue move along. Cleveland Browns are potentially going to be without their star defensive end, Miles Garrett, their edge. Okay, I got you. Galladay and Tony, basically. Um, they might be without their All Pro edge as Miles Garrett. Of course, we know he was in a car accident yesterday. I mean, on Monday, a single car accident in which, come to find out, he suffered a sprained bicep as well as a sprained shoulder as he was in the one car accident. Basically, the highway patrol said that it seems like the car went into the off to the side. Apparently, it flipped and landed on the side and came back, and then basically that was it. They don't see there was any issues, or it hasn't found anything to say that it was alcohol or drug related. Of course, they are still investigating. He did have a woman passenger in the vehicle with her, and which was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Garrett at the time was driving a 2021 Porsche. I don't know what that starts to come about from there as the investigation continues to proceed, and if they're going to see what is going to be the end state uh, in that. So potentially they'll be without Garrett. You know what? So take a look at these injuries, right? of certain players and trying to bring these players back, right? We understand players get paid a lot, get paid handsomely to be present, right? And play games because they're impactful individuals. Is it fair when players are injured or out to try to have to rush them to come back or bring them back? The to rush them and bring them back. Like Garrett, he's injured, sprain sprain chest, sprain shoulders, sprain bicep. Um, Zach Wilson, a sprain. He was out. They was trying to bring him back ahead of time, even though he's due to come back this week or next week. Um, the Cowboys, beloved Dak Prescott, they was trying to after trying to bring him back after his fractured thumb, in which currently they're saying that he is a little delay in his potential comeback, and they're going to take it day by day. So now what was supposed to be 6 weeks for Dak now is looking like or what went from 6 weeks to 3 weeks for Dak is now looking like it's going to be a little bit longer. Or is that just conversation because they're looking at like, oh, Cooper Rush is doing great. We don't need to rush Dak back at this current moment. No, Anthony, we're not gonna do that. Now that is what I think. I would like to say if I was a general manager or even as a agent, I don't think I'm pushing those players in that manner. Like you it will be determined if you want to play or not, or if you're trying to come if you're trying to um, delay coming back because you're trying to make sure you're good. I take a look at that and be like, okay, we're good. But I don't think I'm having players to take any shots or any injections or anything like that because I don't want to have that on my conscience and we're just band aiding things. Um, Jerry Jones is a doctor and owner. So yeah, so it's I look at it and like I just wonder if it's going to be what is up with these this that aspect of the game. I think that's starting to be more and more prevalent to having players come back and play when they're at a percent, or is it on the players? Like who is it on? Like even with uh James Cook, I'm not James Cook, but Dalvin Cook, they expect him to potentially play in the shoulder sling for this upcoming game. Like let the players rest. Like give it a chance to rest. Give it a little second. If I can play in a shoulder sling, then why not give me a week or so or a game off so I can heal, so I can be productive for for you the next game. Any Dallas Cowboys fans in the chat? Snook, you still there? Uh, what do you have to say for your beloved Cowboys? Excuse me. What do you have to say? And that could be it, Eric. It could be a potential situation to where they're just throwing stuff out there to throw off the preparation for their opponents. If anyone likely, I'm going to prepare for both anyway, or I'm not even worried about Dak. I'm preparing for Cooper, and that's where we're going. And just keep in mind, said that if Dak comes in, he's probably not going to be able to put any pressure, pretty distance on the ball. The velocity is probably not going to be the same. It's probably going to come out a little without as much power. So I will continue to just compare for Cooper, and then if Dak makes an appearance, then we got something for that too. I'm very sure they plan for him eventually already currently. So, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. Uh, or how they try to push these players and come back and uh, come up and it's sometimes some in some occasions, in my opinion, it's definitely not a it's deplorable. Zach will heal. Jerry's all smoke. You gotta be like you said, gotta be a salesman. Gotta sit up and do what you gotta do to sell, make them sales. Um, need to go to a game. I gotta pull up at a game. I haven't been at a game in their stadium yet. Hell, I haven't even been at a game in my own team stadium yet. Matter of fact, what stadiums have I been to? That is interesting. I gotta start making some moves. I've been to multiple New Orleans games. Yeah, when it comes to the NFL, I gotta make some moves. Definitely gotta make some moves. I don't know who with me, who pulling up, where we going, what games we going to. I gotta step and start going to some games because I'm lacking arenas too. I ain't been too many. I've been to a Did I go to a Mavericks game? Yeah, I'm way behind you, Eric. Way behind, brother. I'm way behind you. I gotta start going. I gotta start doing this, pulling up at some stadiums, arenas. I'm way behind. Okay, yeah. So okay, I got you in arenas. Then I ain't got no stadiums. I got, I think one stadium, and that's the New Orleans game. Some New Orleans games I've been to. I've been to a couple of games. I've been to Cowboy. I mean not Cowboys. I've been to Mavericks games. I've been to Chicago's games. I've been to Pelicans games. Yeah, I got to start making some moves. I ain't been to those ballparks either. Now I think about it, I think we just well I know why, but it's because I became a fan of sports later in life, just recently, and I before I was like just mainly a fan of my own particular teams, and I wasn't trying to go see no one else play again unless it was my team, in which my teams are all from the West Coast, so they don't come to particular places and stuff like that. So I wasn't going to see. It wasn't in all the places I was at. It wasn't too many people that were my teams was coming to play, so I wasn't going to see. Or as always, my team would come play at a on like a Tuesday when I live on the other side of the country. I mean, other side, like 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours away from where they're playing at. So that wasn't conducive. Okay, so yeah, so in the loo, so yeah, so I get that, Eric. So yeah, and that would be the same for me as a Dod. Saying growing up with the Dodgers, it just wasn't. I wasn't checking for them like that, so I wasn't always going there. And I didn't have my family wasn't big sports fanatics or anything like that. Um, so it's like me and my brother are more so the fanatics, sports fanatics when it comes to it. So it's a little bit different now. Like if I was home, I'm very sure we would be hitting a whole bunch of different games and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'm gonna start. Saying pulling up. We'll have to start hitting up people and be like, "Yo, what's good?" Although I plan to go to catch a couple of the Pelicans games this year. Maybe pull up with the Rockets. Dallas is like 5 hours, so I don't know if I'm going to make that drive, but I mean it's a possibility depending on what's going on. Uh, See if I could get some credentials and stuff like that, and be in a couple of rooms and stuff like this interview. So it remains to be seen. I see, without a doubt. Um, what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Mm, what we got going on for? No doubt. We have to see what's up. We have to see what's up and go catch some stuff. Oh, I stand corrected. Seahawks. I don't know how I forgot that. I couldn't stand going to see Seahawks games, the 49ers. Especially during that time frame. The whole time I was there, the 49ers never won a game versus the Seahawks in their home arena, a home stadium. And to be there, oh my goodness. One of the games I went to go see 49ers versus the Seahawks, and me and my supervisor went, and he was a Buffalo Bills fan. So the Buffalo Bills had just stomped the Seahawks had just stomped the Buffalo Bills the week prior. No, we not going. We wouldn't pull up to the Dallas Cowboys game. Or at least not together. But yeah, the Seahawks had just stomped the Buffalo Bills a week before, and they pulled up in San Francisco. They was playing San Francisco, so man, we pulled up there. I'm in San Fran gear. He's in Buffalo Bills gear. We go there, man, and it was a game where Vernon Davis got injured by Cam Chancellor. He broke his ribs. Oh my goodness, I couldn't. It's like we didn't drive there. We took the train. Oh my goodness, having to sit up and go back, like what I'm saying, it was pretty quiet coming. It wasn't too much talking. There was a lot of 49ers fans that was doing smiling and stuff like that. But brother, when we got back and went to go get on that damn train going back, man, they would sit up and talking. They had a lot to say. Of course, at that point, it's like the no focus is on him because now 49ers just got blasted. And so I'm sitting there on the train. Uh, my headphones had been died. So at this point, I ain't got no headphones. I can't hear anything. But I keeping the headphones on to act like I'm listening to music because I'm not trying to hear people talk trash. And so dudes was getting off the train. They see I was there because, of course, I still have my San Francisco gear on. They're watching me, and they're getting off the train, and then they're beating on the window when the train pulls off, and sit up and like flicking me off, and talking about Seahawks pointing the gear. It was a long day and a long ride back. Let me see. I got Commanders and Vikings tickets and the Dallas versus Viking tickets. Okay. Uh, I got Falcons and Washington tickets. That's when Washington wears all their black jerseys and helmets. So y'all be pulling up for those games, those special games and stuff like that. Color with the special uniforms and alternative joints. Um, Commanders versus Vikings. Dallas versus Vikings. Uh, Falcons and Washington. I need to get on y'all level. You know what I'm saying? Although I'm not traveling all the way back to San Francisco to see a game. Well, at least not yet. I don't know. I may do. I thought about trying to go see the New Orleans the San Francisco New Orleans game in San Fran. It's just be having to travel, man. I don't pay all those tickets. Hell, I'm a home based travel agent. I'll be looking for the stuff, and I'm like but I don't know. I might sit up and pull some out my hat and go see memories, some stuff. Yes, sir. Super Bowl in Arizona. And we talked about briefly yesterday. Shout out to Bishop for calling it on who was going to be who he thought would be the Super Bowl this year. I'm still a little skeptical. I don't know if he knew it and read it somewhere first, or he just happened to say it. But at first he did say Rihanna and Taylor Swift, but then in which it was Rihanna Taylor Swift, but then it came out like you said, and they changed it and said it would just be Rihanna. So, pretty good call. Um, I wouldn't say it directly to him because I don't want to hear him talking about he's the GOAT or something like that. Okay, it was you. All right, Anthony, my fault. I stand corrected. I stand corrected. But definitely, you know what I'm saying, big shout out to that. Um, but being I gotta get to work, get this stuff delivered for this special event. I greatly appreciate y'all checking in with us today, being here. Good conversation in reference to the basketball, always, you know what I'm saying, the great topics. Um, of course, y'all know where to catch us every Monday through Friday, 09 to 1100 hours Central Standard Time. Uh, be sure to check with us tomorrow as we're going to be going over our Thursday night picks, uh, covering more NBA action as we get closer and closer to the beginning of the season. So be sure to be right here. We can talk about it and all those other things. It's Trey, E2G Sports Network. Be sure to check out. They have a good selection, especially if you're a Patriot fan. That's where the love is. So you can always catch them. Um, appreciate, you know what I'm saying, Eric, Anthony, um, Cornelius, y'all all jumping on this morning, rocking with me. Zach, you know what I'm saying, Frat, you stay easy over there in Hawaii. I'm very sure it's not too hard. And we look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. Check us here